I'm going to show you a knit top like you've never seen, and I'm sure you've never sewn something like this before. For me, it's been a first, and it's got an amazing detail on the neckline. Look at this drapey feature here on the center front, and I promise you it only takes 3 seams to do all this in the front. So cool. I filmed it for you so you'll be able to do it too. Stay tuned. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and I'm especially in a cheerful mood because my cold weather has been saying goodbye, and today is a very nice early type spring day. So nice. I've got a neat top to share with you today from Sinclair Patterns. It is a new pattern that released on Wednesday, I believe. As soon as I saw it, I knew I had to make it. And just the line art drew me in straight away because of the features of the neckline. Lately, all the patterns I've made from Sinclair Patterns have worked out so well for me. I love the designs. I was super excited to sew this one up. This one is called Azalea top, and it's fitted at the shoulders and the bust. When you look at it straight on, it looks like there's a V neckline. But the neckline is finished in a way that is so original and fun to put together. This side overlaps over that side, and in this area there's a bit of a twist going on there that drapes over the front. There is a center front seam. It's a relaxed fit at the waist and the hips. And then for sleeves, you can make it sleeveless. There is a narrower cut line there on the armhole. Or you can make sleeves that are short, 3/4 long. You know, you have all those options there on your sleeve pattern. Really good opportunity to make something totally different. And this one looks harder than it is when you look at it. It's only 3 seams to create all this piece right here. So easy. And I filmed it, of course. For fabrics, you need knit fabrics, at least 30% stretch. They need to be lightweight and hopefully drape a little bit. You can't use heavy fabrics because all this feature here will create too much bulk. So all your nice lightweight drapey fabrics, rayon, bamboo, modal, with lycra content in there, ITY, double brush poly. Maybe some lightweight cotton spandex would work as well if it's nice and brushed. I wouldn't want to use one that's too stiff. Stay away from French terry, Ponte Roma, sweatshirting materials. You could use a really lightweight sweater knit as well. I've seen some photos and it looks really nice with that one for a more colder weather type top. Could make it long sleeves and it would be amazing. I really wanted to make one like that. Sadly, I didn't have any fabric that was a lightweight sweater knit. All the ones I have in my stash are really heavy. I didn't want all this detail there to be super bulky. And I've used fabrics that are really nice. One is a jersey. It's got embroidery on it with little eyelets. It's similar to the ones that you would find that are made with cotton woven. But this is a jersey, stretchy, perfect for it. And the other one is an ITY. Because Azalea top is a new pattern release, it's 20% off for a few more days, I believe through Monday or Tuesday next week. I will leave you all the information in my description box along with my affiliate link if you'd like to use it. I make a little commission from there, and that's one of the ways I make a small income by making all these videos on YouTube for you. So it doesn't cost you any extra to use it if you want to. You'll find sizes 0 to 30 US. That'll go up to a hip of 63 inches. And of course, before choosing your size, you need to choose your height file. And you can find petite, regular and tall files. Find that one first and then choose your size based on your measurements. Choose the base size with your full bust, and then if you need to blend out or in for the waist and hips, you can do that. But you want all this area to be nicely fitted. On the bust, you'll find a little bit of negative ease, about 1.5 inches of negative ease. But then at the waist, you're nice and relaxed with almost 5 inches of ease. And at the hips, about 3. So it's not a tightly fitted top at the hips or anything, which is great because lightweight knits like the ones that are going to work with this feature are always best used with, you know, not tight fitted garments, you know. So happy about that. I chose size 16 tall file. I would suggest you make a muslin. I would even suggest that you choose different colors of your fabric for a right and a left piece so you can really see what's going on. I made the muslin to check that my armhole depth was going to be okay. Also to practice this technique so I can film it, you know, really nicely for you. I have filmed the whole process for you with a blue and a green so you can really see what's going on. Don't be scared, you know, when you read the instructions, just go step by step by step. Or if you're following the video I've made for you, just follow step by step by step. I've purchased these ugly types of jerseys for muslins. They're damaged actually. It's not anything I'll make garments with. They are great for sewing muslins. And you can see the detail here that the neckline on one side overlaps over the other, and in there's a little twist going on. And the center front seam is partially covered here on the top, and then at the bottom you can see the center front seam. The back just is plain, it's cut on the fold, and this neckline also finishes at the back, and there is a center back seam right there. You can sew it all with the serger. You'll see exactly how to make it, so don't be scared. Let's see it in the sewing segment that's coming up next, up close and so personal. These are the main two pieces to put together the Azalea top. That's the back, and it's quite a regular back. It's cut on the fold. There's nothing complex about it. So I'm just going to remove it from there. There's also a sleeve that has several lengths. And if you're making a sleeveless option, there is a binding piece for that. And an armhole that's slightly narrower right there. This is the regular armhole, and for the purpose of this tutorial I won't be doing the sleeves. I'll just be focusing on the neckline because it's the most interesting part. This is how the front piece looks, and I've got two of them here. I've got them in different color fabrics so that it's easier to see how this detail on the neckline is going to come together. Basically, that's a little shoulder seam there, that's the armhole, this is the side seam, that's the bottom hem, and this will be the center front up to a point. And all this long business here is going to be the neckline. I'll show you some notches that you need to mark. This jersey that I'm using for this demonstration, it's really hard to tell which one is the right side of the fabric and which one is the wrong side of the fabric. So I've written an R on the right side of the fabric and a W on the wrong side. Same as on the blue right there. So that's what that W means and the R means. Right here in the center, you see that there is this shape here, and then it goes off to a flat area, and then it goes out like that. And you'll find dots there. It's basically the seam allowance. The seam allowance is 1/4 inch. So if you come through here, the intersection of this area that's flat and this one is right there, and the same there. What we need to do is snip up to the dots there. And this is the area where you're going to have the space to do all the twist and all the detail that's going to happen there. Now the pattern says that you can fuse a little bit of interfacing there to make it more stable. You can do that if you want to. Then you would have to mark your dots again because this is a fake garment, and I just want to show you the construction. I'm not going to be fusing anything on there. On this long piece that has a narrow bit over there, this actually later on is going to be the center back of the neckline, and you have two notches there, and that's where the shoulder seams are going to meet from the other side. So mark those notches there on the right and the wrong side of the fabric because you're going to need them on both sides. This is a fake garment, so I've just used a marker. So I hope you can see those marks there. Down further along the center front, you'll find another notch there. That is sort of at the height of where this detail is. There as well, you need to cut into the seam allowance. It's a tiny snip. Remember, the seam allowance is only 1/4 inch. Okay, so at this point we've done 2 snips here on the center in this little area, and we've done another snip over there where the center is. You'll find the line, snip into there. That's all you need to snip to start putting this together. And now I'm going to put them side by sides, and it's really important to have them right sides up. This is how your pieces are going to look. I've got them in different colors so that you can clearly see what's happening here. So this is one front, that's the other front. They are mirrored. As you can see, the longer area is in the center, both there. And then over here we have an armhole and a shoulder seam, and the same over there. As written all over my fabric, so you can see that this is the right side of the fabric. We're looking at these pieces like you would if you're looking down. So you would just need to replicate what I'm doing here. Looking down, this is the right, this is the left. This blue piece that's on the right side of the screen when you're looking down, remember we did a snip right there. We also have 2 snips there on that area. You can see there's 2. We need to join that snip to that snip, and we're going to join them with the fabric wrong sides together. So we have the fabric right sides up. Just pick this up and then bring that snip up to that first snip right there. At this point, your fabric is wrong sides together in there, and you have right side of fabric and right side of fabric there. On this piece, you have your shoulder and your armhole there. So that long piece that we had has just been folded lengthwise, wrong sides together, and you can see these little snips match right there. Now we have this other piece, and here we also have those two snips. We need to match this snipped area where there's two layers and this long bit to that first snip right there. Remember, you're working with your fabric right sides up. The one you're putting on top is going to have an excess of length there, and that's totally normal. Meet these snipped areas right on top of that first snip right there. Now up further on this narrow bit, remember we had a notch? That little mark is going to match the edge of your shoulder over here. And then this will go match together right there, the three layers. Now from the edge where you have that shoulder, just eyeball about 1.5 inches below that. I'm going to put a pin there, and we're going to sew from there up to that little slit right there. So we're going to finish there. Remember, we have a clear area there, that's why the snip. So you can sew this little bit on your sewing machine or on your serger. Practiced already making my other garments, and I can actually do this straight on the serger. So let's go ahead and do that. So why aren't we sewing from the whole top there down to this snip there? It's because we need to leave the shoulders free, because later we need to attach the back piece at the shoulders, so you can't just sew all this right up to the edge. That's why I have a pin there, and that's where I'm going to start serging. The seam allowance on the pattern is 1/4 inch, so just make sure you don't trim away any seam allowance if you're using the serger. Otherwise you can use the sewing machine, so it can be done in one go. Now I want you to see that snip there. You can see this is the center, and they're both right on top of each other, but we don't want to catch that, so I'm just going to fold this out of the way, and that's where I'm going to finish here. What I've done with the thread that was hanging here from the serger is I've undone it, the loop, and you can tie this up in a knot here, and this is one way that this won't come apart afterwards. The other option is just threading that long tail of overlocking stitch in a big needle, pushing it up like that, and I'll show you that in a second when I finish the other side. I just wanted to show you that this was also an option, and you see that this is still free. So this is a little fiddly, just make sure you don't catch any of that when you sew this seam. And you can see that there's a little bit left unsewn there on the top. Okay, I know this looks messy, but I promise it's going to make sense. This is the seam that we've just sewn. Now we're going to take this layer that's on the top. That is the blue layer that I have in this case. Remember, both have the fabric right sides up, and I'm just gonna make this into a smaller piece like that. Now what I'm gonna do is hold this and bring this long end that was below it over this way and push this little bow up like that. Now we have this over here. I'm going to do that again. Okay, that's what we have here. We have the blue on top, we have the green on the bottom. We've just sewn that seam. I'm going to make the layer on top into a small piece that I can manipulate like that, and I'm going to push it up there, bring the long end from the layer that was at the bottom over this side, and then push this open again. Look, I suggest you practice with scraps like this that have different colors, because it's going to be so easy for you to figure it out. Now we have this long end, and remember there was a notch right there that was snipped into on the center front here. So there is that snip, there is that other snip. And look, you see W's here, that means, well, it's M's, it's actually W's. We need to put this fabric wrong sides together, this snip with that snip right there. And then fold this lengthwise, the same. Hold it in your left hand like this, take this out of the way, and you can see a little snip over there. This now is going to be thrown off to this side, and this snip is going to match that snip there. And now again, we can align this long bit on top of the other one, the same like we did on the other side. So here you can see the 3 layers, the 2 that I've just folded from this long piece that was folded lengthwise, and then the single layer here and the other shoulder seam. So it's the same thing that we did on the other side. And now in this case, I'm going to start sewing right there, and I'm going to be careful not to catch anything, and I'm going to align all of this. Remember, there are notches there that will help you match that to the shoulder edge right there. Remember, we stopped sewing a little distance before getting to that section, and now this is what we need to sew from that little bit that was snipped up to there. I'm going to show you how this is going to look. You have right side of the fabric, you have right side of the fabric, see the R's right there. You have this seam that was already sewn, you have this, and you should have a fold going underneath. The center front here of the piece that's on top should be folded under there. If you've pinned this wrong and you have this going on like this, then it's wrong. Always remember that this center front should be folded there when the fabric just wants to lie naturally. So let's sew that. Look at this snipped area here and the snipped area there, and then we have the bulk coming in through there, and that's what's going to give you a really nice detail in the front. So I'm going to be careful and just sew there without catching any of this. It's totally possible. I've already made 2 of these tops doing the exact same thing. Remember, we're stopping about 1.5 or 2 inches before the edge of the shoulder there. Now, if you were sewing this on your sewing machine, you would back tack and secure. But because I'm doing it on the serger, I also want to secure this. So I've threaded all of that into a big needle, and I'm just going to push it back in here. Pushed it there, and it'll be secure. This is how this looks so far. You can see this seam is underneath. This one's visible, but it's not how the neckline is going to finish. This one is actually going to be like that as well. This center front like folded under there, the same with the piece that's underneath. Now the last seam that we need to do is the center front. So you can see that to make this detail you only need to do 3 seams basically. That one, and now unite the center fronts. Super easy to do. Put your fingers in there, find that snip, push your fingers in a bit more, find the other one, and that's going to be the top of this center front seam. Hold them together. Now further away you can see what I'm going to do. I have the 2 little snipped areas that will start the center front seam grabbed, but the way I have them grabbed is actually with the wrong sides together, and I want them right sides together. So I'm going to take all of this and just push it down, and then have these one on each hand, and then flip this so that they are right sides together. And now this long seam that I'm going to do now, which is the center front, is going to be right sides together. You can see some W's there. You can see some W's there. That means that the right sides are touching. That's why the wrong sides are out. And you can see this area is a little bit bulky. There's a lot going on there. Don't worry, it will be all sorted once we do this center front seam. And now it's just the same on the serger. I'm going to be careful to just start there and not catch anything else, and it's just a straight seam. Okay, so this is the center front seam that I'm going to sew. You can see that close by are the other seams that we have done. There's one here and the other one is tucked in under there, and through this opening that you can still see is where one has gone sort of twisted. So just be careful there, start serging there and finish at the bottom. Okay, we've just sewn that center front seam, and this is how the neckline is looking so far. At this point you can go to the iron, actually press them down towards the garment, not towards the neckline. But I'm going to save all the pressing for last. Also, you can press the center front seam if you like, and you can see that we have these long pieces but they're not fixed all the way to the top, so we just need to push them out of the way, and we still have good access to the shoulders right there. This is my back. I've still got it folded. I've made a mark on the center back. So if you were sewing the sleeves, I would suggest you stabilize the back shoulder seams first. Just use a little bit of interfacing there, narrow strip, about 3/8 of an inch on both. If you're doing sleeveless, it doesn't really matter. This is a fake garment, so I'm obviously not going to interface anything. So just bring these shoulder seams right sides together here. Okay, there you can see both shoulder seams are sewn. And now we have these long dangly bits, and these are the ones that are going to finish the neckline. Extend them off to the center. And now we're just going to meet these 2 ends and sew them together just like that. And that's going to unite this center back seam. So you have your seams here, the wrong side of the garment up. You can see seams, and then you can sew that seam right there. Now I can fold that little seam, wrong sides together, and where you have that seam, you are going to match that mark that I'd marked on the fabric, the center back, and then you can match up these 3 layers. Now what you're matching on top is slightly shorter than what is on the back, so you need to stretch a little bit as you sew. Only a little bit, it's not much at all. So there is one shoulder seam, and then on the other side the same. Okay, and now we can sew this little bit from where we'd stopped. You can see the black thread there. Start there, go around and finish right there. After this short seam, then basically the neckline's done. I know it doesn't make sense yet because we need to give it a press. Okay, now we're going to press this. This is the center front seam that you're seeing here. It doesn't really matter which way you press it to, just give it a good press. Try to get in as high as you can up here. Here we have this other seam. We need to press it down towards the garment, not towards the neckline. Same as on this other side, and you can see the shoulder seams are there. Now we can press this other part of the neckline, the back, pressing the seam allowance down towards the garment. This is how it looks like after just a quick press. It doesn't look completely finished because there's one last thing that we do at the very end. You can see that little area where we did the snip. Just tuck it inside like this. This is a knit, it's not going to fray. After tucking this away, bring this neckline over, and that's how it's going to be worn. You can see the seam there and the seam there. This is going to cover all of this business right there. And when you wear it, this is also going to cover that center seam partially there on the top. At this point, it's super easy, like any top. You can put it right sides together. At this point, you can either sew your sleeve in on the flat, or you can sew it on the round. If you're doing sleeveless, you would sew your side seams and then do your binding. But after doing all the neckline, then you're basically done. This is just a fake garment. I'm quickly going to sew the side seams so I can put it on and show you what the last step is to finish that. Okay, this fabric is terrible. It doesn't drape like the nice fabrics do, but you get the idea of what's going on here. Now, this is the one that was coming over the top. And in here is where we have that snip right there. Tuck it inside and bring this layer that's overlapping over the blue one. And just find the place that looks nice to you, right there. Put a pin there. And then the last step is for you to hand tuck that down. You can do it from the inside, just in there invisibly, and no one's going to see it. And that is going to keep this neckline on this side coming over without it opening and exposing the little snipped area. Then all that would be tucked in there safely out of sight. This is the first one I made. You can see that my fabric has embroidery on it and little holes. You can see my skin through it, but it's not sheer. I don't need to wear any cami underneath. I can just wear my bra. I don't feel I'm showing anything through these tiny, tiny holes. And when I put this on for the first time, I was so excited because the muslin I made, although I could see that it fit, just the fabric was really stiff. It didn't drape. It just looked pretty horrible. I knew it was going to look nicer with better fabric, and of course it does. This top is like fancy, I find. It looks sort of fancy. Love it. And of course I've got a sleeveless one. I finished that with binding like I usually do. So easy to sew with the serger. Really fast actually. Side seams, and then my hem is twin needled. So once you get past this, which I promise you can take you like 10 minutes, it's only 3 seams. It's really, really fast to put together. Faster than I thought it was going to be. This is how it looks on the wrong side. You can see that there's that little snip right there, that little area that creates an opening for this twist on the inside. But this is a jersey, it's not going to fray. I'm not scared that this is going to be a hole over time that's going to start tearing itself apart. It's not. Now, if I saw a design like this on a woven garment where it said just snip and leave it, then I couldn't deal with it. But with this, it's perfectly fine. There is a tiny little raw area of fabric there, but it doesn't fray, so I'm really cool with that. And on the outside, it looks really neat. That little hand tucking that keeps it right there is perfect. It just covers the whole thing. It's going to make it lie properly. Let's see this on. I've paired it with my poppy pants, also from Sinclair Patterns. I think it's a really classic look, and I really love the black and white going on there. This is my first Azalea top with a black, but it's not just a black jersey, it's got embroidery details on it, so up close you can see that, and it's really nice. I've got it paired with my poppy pants, linen pants, also from Sinclair Patterns. I think they go really good together. For me, this is a bit of a dressed up top, which I love. And this length is a little shorter than the original length, 2 inches shorter, just personal preference. I love the way it feels, it's so comfortable. Very nice to wear. You can see the detail of the neckline here a little close up. There is a center front seam, and up here on the top it's partially covered by this that drapes over it, but you can see it down there. This is the length that I like. There's about 3.5 inches of ease at the hips, which is really nice. In this case, it's a mid-hip length, which I think is really nice because it suits things that are maybe wider on the bottom and also fitted. I think this length is good for everything. Really like it. The first time I saw this detail on with a really nice fabric, I was super excited because even though I'd seen it on my muslin, the muslin fabric didn't drape at all, and this one does. This neckline falls beautifully. It's so nice. So excited, of course, to make another one. I have a sleeveless one, but I use the regular armhole, not the sleeveless armhole, just because I like more cover here. Here's a closer look. This jersey drapes beautifully. Even though it's black, it's still solid, and I think you can see it. I love it. It's so pretty. I've never made a garment like this. Good cover here on the armhole. armhole. For sure, I want to make more of these. Super fast to put together once you get the hang of it. Highly recommend. Give it a go. It's not as hard as it seems, and you can see how to sew it in my video. I couldn't be happier. My second Azalea top is made in an ITY knit. It's lighter and drapier than the one I've just shown you. Although the one I've just shown you is also very, very pretty and also drapes really nicely. The fabric was a little heavier, although I wouldn't say as heavy as to name a medium weight. Almost a medium weight. This is definitely a lightweight. And I've used the exact same fabric a couple of weeks ago to make the Clio culottes, also from Sinclair Patterns. I'll give you a picture here if you remember. Really nice animal print with grey tones. I had about 1.2 meters left in yards. Maybe that's like 1.5 yards, which is exactly what I needed to make my short sleeve Azalea top. I never ever plan to wear them together. I think it's just too much. Like animal print from head to toe. No, I just can't. But I'm gonna wear it with something else. And it's so nice. With this one, you can see the details less. But I'm happy I was able to film it for you with those colorful jerseys, because I think you can really see what I was doing. I'm sure if I'd filmed it with this, it wouldn't have been so clear. But when I have this on, you can really see the details there of how this side overlaps over the other and how this drapes in the center. It's just a really, really nice top. I know it's not going to be shown that well on camera, on photo or video, but I know it's beautiful and it looks beautiful in a print as well. I've got a short sleeve right there. I'll show you this one on the inside. I think you'll be able to see the inside better here. And you can see there's that little bit that we snipped into at the beginning that creates the opening for this to be able to happen, but it's not going to fray. I love it. You know, the only thing I used my sewing machine was for the hems here. Everything 100%, like, well, 90% of it was made directly on the serger, and just the hems were done on the machine for the twin needle. You could do all these seams with your machine, but then how do you finish them later? It gets a little tricky to get in there. So I just did it all on the serger. I've got this one paired with another pair of Clio shorts I made from Sinclair Patterns, but the black pair that are short. This is my second Azalea top, this time in an ITY, and I put the sleeves on. Short sleeves, of course there are other lengths, so you can make this for winter as well. Same beautiful neckline, lovely fabric. I've got it paired with my black Clio shorts that I made a little while ago, also from Sinclair Patterns. Super comfortable outfit. This is a size 16 with a toe file. After sewing my muslin, I figured out I wanted my top a little shorter, so mine is 2 inches shorter than the original length. I love the V look, but that is totally different. That it has this overlapping the other side. Such a nice detail on a neckline and super different to what I usually do. Of course, you can see it better in a solid, but this is still very nice. When I wear it and I see it, I can see all this drape going on here, and it's amazing. Super fun to sew also. I'm trying to make more sleeves because they are useful, and the short one's good for me. Shoulder fit, everything's really nice, and I like that it's fitted up here in the chest, the bust, and then it's nice and comfortable so you can live your life down below. Here's a closer look. The neckline that is on the left side of me overlaps over the one that's on the right side of me, right here. I had to do a little bit of tacking. It's right there holding this down. It's not going to be seen or anything, and that just means that this neckline covers everything that was snipped under there. Everything's tucked away nice and neat, and this just drapes over your tummy like this. Very nice. Love this Azalea top, just the details, everything. It doesn't use up that much fabric. Super different to others I've made. So nice. I really enjoyed these. I know I can make a billion more if I find the correct fabrics. I'll be on the hunt for the correct solid fabrics for this because I don't want to make it out of something too lightweight if it's a solid. I like the one that I've chosen, the black one, because it's a little heavier. It's got the embroidery. It's just really pretty. I mean, I've got to really get myself motivated to sew something with a solid. That's what I mean. I'll be on the hunt for nice solids for it because I would love to have a billion more of these tops. So nice. Really enjoyed it because it's something different. I think if you walk around in the street with this type of neckline, it's just something different that not everyone's going to have, much less so. And as always, the instructions, the fit's always super top notch. I really recommend. Don't forget that the Azalea top is 20% off for a few more days. I will leave you all the information in the description box along with my affiliate link if you would like to use it. I make a little commission from there and I'm always very grateful if you use my link. Have a great rest of your weekend and have a happy time sewing. Although I always say that, I don't sew on the weekends. That's my little confession for you. See you soon. Bye.